Welcome back to the Irish Bandit channel. Welcome back to more Cabin Fever. Now, where we left off, we just met Mallory. She was caught in a bear trap outside our cabin. We are very diligent, let's just say, not getting this virus that's going around. I shouldn't use quotations because obviously this was written during the 2020 pandemic. So, anyway, we just met Mallory, and I think the main character is falling in love with her. I don't know yet, but let's keep on. We're on to Chapter 4, Growth. That's that damn rooster again. I slept soundly that night and woke up feeling surprisingly good. The sun was shining. My body and mind were refreshed, and once again, something smelled delicious in the kitchen-y kind of way. Hey, I could get used to this, thought my brain. I rolled my eyes at myself as I hopped out of bed. This was the start of a new routine. It had to be. Mallory was here now. I didn't want either one of us taking advantage of the other. I wondered if she'd like to learn about the systems I had set up for off-the-grid living. Oh my god, my eyes, my tongue do just not want to work today. When do they ever? I definitely needed her to understand why certain things were important, like conserving water, obviously. But she might actually enjoy being involved with the work I did on the daily. Maybe we could share the load. Share the load. Oh, she could be the Sam my Frodo. There we go. I even said, share the load. My heart felt kind of bright and big at the thought of having a friend, even if it's just for a while. It was something to break up the mind-numbing monotony of that sweet post-apocalyptic lifestyle I'd been living. I could be an okay teacher. I taught a few online courses before, for beginners wanting to learn C. Okay, whatever that is. Teaching someone how to feed a chicken shouldn't be any harder than that. I put down the feed. I treaded softly downstairs and snuck into the kitchen. Some egg medley bubbled away on the skillet, and a pot of rice was boiling over. Mallory stood with her back to me, struggling to reach something high up in the cupboard.
Your pot is boiling.
Oh, you surprised me. Good morning.
Aw,
How did
cute.
you sleep?
She moved back to the stove to transfer the rice off the heat. Then she picked up the skillet and gave the eggs a good toss.
I slept okay. How about you?
She smiled, wiping her hands on her apron. It was my mother's apron, actually, and I was pleasantly surprised to see it. It had been tucked away in the bottom drawer and forgotten about for a long time.
Great. Your couch is super comfy, and that blanket is so cozy and warm.
Good. I'm glad.
My gaze drifted to the open cupboard behind Mallory.
Did you need something from up there?
Uh...
She looked back at the cupboard and let out a nervous giggle.
Yes, please. I was looking for aspirin and I thought I saw a bottle up there, but I couldn't really reach. I didn't want to risk standing up on a chair or something with my leg.
Is it getting more painful? I did notice a little redness yesterday, but I didn't think it was infected. Unless... Wait, you're not feeling sick, are you?
No, it's just the leg. It's a bit achy.
I motioned for her to switch places with me, keeping some distance between us as I reached up and grabbed the aspirin bottle from out of the cupboard. It was still half full, yet I hesitated a moment, reluctant to share my supply. But then I could order more, along with that first aid kit I needed to replace. I set the bottle on the counter and stepped away so Mallory could take it. She smiled so brightly that dimples appeared in her cheeks. Oh, cute!
Thank you so much. You're the best.
I pressed my lips together, trying not to smile. We were still standing too close to one another. I took another few steps back, clearing my throat.
Maybe it's time for another temperature check, just to be sure.
Dude, you're so anal about these things. Anal. I went to grab the scanner and came back. I'm so sorry for that one.
Could you, move your hair?
She lifted her bangs off her forehead so I could get a clear reading with the temperature scanner. After a few moments, the happy sound of one beep let me know she was fever-free.
Okay, you're good. But we should keep distancing until enough time has passed to know for sure.
Mallory nodded as she untied her apron. Then she did a little twirl when her good leg offered me a plate.
How's this for a second attempt at breakfast?
Hey, nothing got burned, so... The food looked glorious. I knew the eggs were fresh because I collected them myself a few days prior. Still, what she had done with them was beyond impressive. Rough chopped vegetables and herbs gave splashes of color to the omelet, which was stuffed with steaming hot rice speckled with even more seasoning. The whole thing had a downright heavenly aroma. Suddenly, some good old Shakespeare came to my brain. Did my heart love till now? Forswear its sight. For I ne'er saw true beauty like this breakfast. I thought to myself, you're a nerd. I think that to myself every day.
Well, you seem to have learned how to use the stove properly.
She blushed. Oh no, I hope that hadn't embarrassed her. I meant it as a jokey, complimenty thing. You've been alone too long, I said to my brain.
Really, this is amazing, and I don't deserve it.
We enjoyed our breakfast at the dining room table, sitting across from each other just like the previous night. Through the great big window at Mallory's back, the yard looked bright and inviting.
Looks like we'll have great weather today. I was thinking of doing some work in the garden for a while. A place like this needs a lot of maintenance. 10 acres of green space, all the off-grid systems. It's a constant running to-do list to keep everything going.
It seems pretty amazing. Is it hard to take care of it all by yourself?
It can be hard work, but it's worth it.
Well, what can I do to help?
I looked at her, a little surprised. Ask her to join in the garden. Stay off her feet. Well, we were just talking earlier about having her help out, but after what she said earlier about her leg, maybe she should relax and stay off her feet.
You've done more than enough to help me. Anyway, with that injury, you should be resting more than anything else. I have lots of books on the shelf over there if you want to just sit and read for a bit while I'm working.
I'd much rather be outside enjoying the nice weather.
Sure, you can totally sit on the porch and read a book.
She giggled.
Or I could come with you. You could teach me all about how you live off the land.
I mean, we were talking about that earlier, so...
We should get to know each other at least a little bit, shouldn't we?
She had a point. It had already crossed my mind that I should acquaint her with the property and the way I did things. I conceded.
All right then. I guess you'll join me.
I thought about insisting we both mask up if we were going to be spending the day in close proximity, but I thought about it some more. And since we'd be outside with lots of space around, and since neither of us had any symptoms, I imagined it would be fine. As we headed outside, I offered Mallory a jacket. She declined. I was skeptical that she'd be warm enough to keep her threadbare dress. Let me try that again. I was skeptical that she'd be warm enough in her threadbare dress. But it was her call. At least the sun was warm today, and there wasn't much wind. I let Mallory lead the way through the garden. She would stop to examine all the different growing things, all the fruits and vegetables, more than enough for one person. I often had an overabundance of produce, so I would end up canning a lot of it. Yeah, that's not a bad idea either. Except for those potatoes. R.I.P.
Oh my gosh! Are these strawberries?
There she stood in the strawberry patch, a look of total wonderment on her face. Her hair's down, makes her look like wings. It's cute. Nice touch, Mio. I love that touch.
They look so plump and juicy, and they're so red. How did you grow them?
They're actually the easiest thing to maintain around here. They grow like weeds. Pretty much every year I get 3 whole harvests out of this patch.
Really? What do you do with all of them?
Make jam.
I make my own jams, put them in salads, make smoothies, things like that. I dehydrate some for easy snacking too.
Oh, that's such a good idea.
But I think they're best right off the bush. You're welcome to have some.
Her eyes widened. Aww. They were huge and were actually twinkling now. How did she do that?
I've never eaten a strawberry before. Are you sure?
You never had a strawberry before?
Never? Jeez. Yeah, help yourself. Just put your index finger and thumb right behind the stem and pinch it off.
I watch her reach out in search of a perfect strawberry to pluck.
Watch out for slugs.
She paused, stuck her tongue out at me in jest, and selected her perfect first strawberry.
Oh, wow. These taste just like sunshine. I could eat these every day.
Feast away.
Okay, now we're getting nicer. I couldn't help but want to offer her everything just then. The happiness rating off her was like addictive or something.
Oh, look.
Aww.
This one's shaped like a heart. Ooh, this one here is huge. Look how shiny and red it is. It's like something out of a picture book. Oh, there's a little bug munching on that one. Enjoy your meal, little bug.
I smiled to myself. While Mallory chatted away eating strawberries by the handful, I picked up my rake and started taking care of the fallen leaves, which were encroaching on the garden. Mallory noticed and came over.
Can I do that?
Her smile was brighter than the sky above us. Oh my
No,
god,
no,
I think I'm
that's
falling
okay.
in love with her.
You need to go easy on your leg.
My leg feels fine. Please?
I mean, she did have that aspirin earlier, so... She just looked so earnest. Reluctantly, I passed her the rake. While Mallory took care of the raking, I made my way to the other end of the garden, worked on pulling up weeds. Pretty soon, I had a bucket almost full. Yeah, I was right the first time. When I looked around for Mallory, I saw her standing beside her leaf pile in progress, pausing to catch her breath. I felt bad for letting her take on the raking. She'd probably end up feeling sore afterwards. Still, it was nice to have the help. I could already tell chores would go quicker this way. I watched her until she'd finished her little break and gone back to raking. Or rather, until she spotted me looking at her, gave me a big thumbs up, which I pretended I hadn't seen. Oh, come on, dude.
Do, pulling up weeds.
Dude, really? I shook my head at myself, tossing another fistful of leafy stalks into the bucket. Something about this girl stirred up my insides. She was like a cartoon princess, too happy and determined, almost too good to be real. Yeah, she does seem like Snow White, or I mean, well, no, Snow White had black hair and she has like white hair. I, for one, definitely wouldn't have been tough enough to pick up a rake with a leg injury like that. If anything, I'd have sat on my couch playing video games until it healed. So I guess I felt a feeling that was partway between admiration and total bewilderment. Because there Mallory was, her pale skin glistening as she did my yard work for me, her dress swaying and dancing around her thighs as she moved. Dude, you're falling in love, man. Wait, am I still looking at her? I thought I went back to weeding. I had to put an end to this distraction. It looked like Mallory was just about to finish anyway, so I carried my bucket over to her.
Looking good. Good work, I mean.
You totally been looking good, dude.
Let's move all this stuff into the compost bin.
Okay, what's that?
I showed her the bin, and as we filled up the weeds with the weeds and old leaves, I gave her the rundown.
Basically, I put all the dead plant matter and vegetable waste I have into the tumbler. Since it's a sealed container, it traps lots of heat inside and helps the stuff break down. See the handle on the side? I use that to turn the tumbler so everything gets mixed together. Then, once it's all broken down, I mix it in with the garden soil. The compost gives the soil extra nutrients, which helps the plants grow. It's kind of like the circle of life. I save all the peels and ends from the produce I eat, turn them into compost, and use that to grow more stuff. So the garden really provides its own nutrients for the next crop of plants that grow there.
Wow, that's amazing.
Honestly, everyone should be doing this. It's a big part of reducing waste.
It's like a big, friendly leaf monster. Nom nom nom.
She fed the last of the garden waste in the mouth of the bin, then patted the top of it as praising a good dog. I mean, I do that every time I pass by my air fryer, so don't judge. I nearly started with laughter. She was too pure for this world, really. No, I'm not going to say it. For a few moments, we stood together admiring the garden. It looked so clean and healthy now. Then, with a twinge of anxiety, I noticed how close we were to one another, how closely we'd been working. But it was probably fine. She seemed healthy, more than healthy. She was handling her injury remarkably well. Was that the so-called power of positive thinking at work? Cough, cough. Never mind. I lurched backwards and looked at her in horror.
Are you feeling sick?
No, sorry. It's just my throat is dry. I'm really thirsty.
One glass of lemonade coming up. Oh, right. We've been working for a while. And now that she mentioned it, I was pretty parched too.
I'll go get us some water.
I dipped inside, took a few deep breaths, and went to fill a couple of stainless steel water bottles. Everything was fine. Her temperature had been normal from the get-go. She had no fatigue, no symptoms of the virus at all, apart from that one cough, which was justified. Still, I was reminded that I shouldn't be letting my guard down. When I returned outside, I found Mallory staring up at my roof, one hand raised to shade her eyes from the increasing
What
sunlight.
are those? They look like shields for your house.
I looked up at the roof where she was pointing.
Oh, sort of. They're solar panels. And they look like they could use a sweep, actually.
Back. Kind of leafy.
Why? What are they for?
They absorb energy from the sun and turn it into power for the cabin.
What? Really?
Here. Face toward the sun and spread your arms out.
She hesitated, then raised her arms up. She closed her eyes and tilted her head so that the sun lit up her pale face.
Feel the warmth? That's energy from the sun, or as I like to call it, the nuclear furnace that sits in the sky, 150 million kilometers away from us. The solar panels take that energy and convert it into electricity. That current makes its way down to a charge controller, which turns the current into voltage for the batteries. My computer, appliances, and lights are all modified to run off that DC voltage. Oh, and the charge controller is hooked up to a battery that can store all that incoming energy. So we can still run the power for a while, even when the sun has gone away.
I hope that explanation made sense. For someone who'd never seen solar panels before, the concept might be a hard one to grasp.
So you capture the sunshine and turn it into energy? Isn't that like what flowers do?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, that's one way of thinking about it.
The twinkle in her eyes had returned. She continued to gaze up at the panels in awe.
It's like magic. If we'd had something like this where I grew up, then the citywide power outages wouldn't have mattered so much.
Her smile faded a little. Suddenly the conversation felt heavy. I wanted to ask her to tell me more, but I was afraid.
Give me a few minutes to sweep the leaves off the roof. Then we can go say hi to the hens.
Ooh, okay.
They're over there, just FYI, in case I happen to fall to my death or something.
What?
Don't worry. If that happens, you can just bury me in the garden. My corpse will give lots of nutrients to the soil.
She gasped, clearly horrified. Dude. I couldn't keep a straight face anymore. I laughed.
Don't kid around like that. It's not funny.
She's right.
Sorry. I'll be back in a few. You rest.
I grabbed my ladder and broom from the shed and headed up onto the roof. I swept all the leaves off the solar panels and cleared out the eaves troughs for good measure. I paused to gaze down at Mallory in the garden. She looked so at peace among all the plants. Butterflies had gathered nearby on a patch of wildflowers, and she was smiling at them. Aw. I don't think I'd ever seen a sweeter scene. I looked across the distant hills towards what remained of the city. That was where Mallory had come from. I assumed so, but now that she'd confirmed it with her comment about the power outages, the thought of her living there almost hurt. Even from my rooftop, I could see how everything had fallen into disrepair. I remembered the long ago announcement that public buildings would be closing down indefinitely. Sports stadiums, movie theaters, malls, and offices had all been shuttered. Even apartment complexes and private homes had to change. People were moved and shuffled around as fences went up and shared spaces became inaccessible. Anything to keep people apart from each other. or at least in their own small safety bubble. I'm glad nothing like that happened with me in my apartment. I hadn't set foot in the city in years, and looking at it now, I had no desire to ever set foot there again. With a sad sigh, I turned my back on the ghost city and climbed down from my roof. I met Mallory in the garden and forced a smile. She seemed so excited as we made our way over to the chicken coop. For a moment, I even thought I saw a spring in her step, but then I realized it was just her limp. Was the aspirin she'd taken wearing off already? The chickens clucked with extra enthusiasm when they saw that I had company. When I opened the door to their fenced-in area, some of them flapped their wings furiously, sending feathers flying and making Mallory laugh.
For as long as they've been alive, I've been alone. So they're either happy for me or scared of you. Not sure.
I pulled the gate shut behind me. Mallory was already saying hello to each individual chick and giving me compliments and asking them how they were enjoying their morning. Then she saw the chicks and gasped.
Babies!
How is she so adorable? Like, seriously.
Did I not mention that? Yeah, they hatched a few days ago. You can pick them up if you want.
She looked up at me, her eyes doing that shimmery, sparkly thing again. I saw that there were tears there, and I thought, or hoped, they were tears of joy.
They're so cute! Are you sure I can touch them? It looks like they'll break, they're so tiny.
Funny, that's exactly how I felt about her.
They'll be okay. Just gently scoop them up into your hands.
Be careful, Mama.
Okay.
She carefully held out her hands. Some of the chicks came closer, investigating her. It didn't take long before a couple of them volunteered to step into her palms. Mallory let out a small squeal and lifted the chicks up to her face. The chicks reciprocated with their own happy peeping noises, dancing in her hands as she stroked their golden down with a single fingertip.
They're so soft. I love them.
I believed her. It was weird. I couldn't fathom loving something so easily or so quickly. But Mallory did. And I had a hunch she'd taken a bullet for those baby chicks.
Oh, sorry about the smell, by the way. I'm used to it, so I guess I forget that coops can get pretty smelly.
I don't find it bad at all.
She continued to pet and play with the little chicks. The whole scene was just too precious. Okay, I thought I heard something.
Do you want to feed them? There's a bag of grain just behind you.
She looked over her shoulder, smiling, and gently set down the chicks so she could reach for the bag. She took out a small handful of grain and scattered it in front of her. Oy. The chicks started to eat. Soon the adult hens came to join them. All the chickens loved Mallory. They nibbled at her dress and danced around her as she fed them. The clucking intensified with every handful of grain, becoming so loud that Mallory started to laugh.
They're so happy.
I nodded.
I try to give them a good life, even if it's only a short one.
Huh? What do you mean?
Well, some of them become food. Oh no. Why did I say that? What should I say next? Change subject.
Well, short, because, chickens aren't very tall.
Nice save, dude.
You know what is tall, though? Aliens, I bet. So what are your thoughts on the possibility of intelligent extraterrestrial life, anyway? You know, I thought I saw a UFO once, but it turned out it was just one of those wacky inflatable flailing arm things that got loose from a car lot.
I saw the look of dismay on Mallory's face and let my voice trail off. She stroked one of the baby chicks, deep in thought.
I guess life is always too short, no matter who or what you are.
Yeah, I guess it is.
Mallory leaned down and nuzzled the chick again, whispering,
I love you, little chick. Have a really fun day, okay?
"Aww." She giggled softly. Then she got to her feet and turned to face me.
Thank you for bringing me to meet them.
Of course. Anytime.
I cleared my throat and motioned for Mallory to lead the way back out of the coop. I followed her out, shutting the gate behind us.
Shall we head back inside?
She nodded as we strolled across the grass. Wow. I felt a little awkward when we went back into the cabin. There was an unhappy tension, but I didn't know if it was just me feeling guilty or something more. I tried to inject a little perkiness into my voice.
So, there was one more thing I really wanted to show you today. It's the most intricate and nerdy of all my systems, and by far my favorite.
She tilted her head questioningly.
Remember when I said I have fish? Well, it's a bit more complicated. The fish are actually part of a system I use to grow plants and food indoors. That way I can have at least some fresh things to eat in winter.
I don't recall him saying anything about having fish.
Oh?
It's called aquaponics, and it's really freaking cool. Come on, I'll show you.
She smiled softly, like she was charmed by the idea. That was a relief.
Okay.
I led Mallory through the cabin to my aquaponics room. It's sort of tucked away, and since I always keep the door closed, it was easy to miss. Dude's growing the herb. I found myself oddly excited to show this to her. I felt almost proud as I opened the door, revealing a dim room on the other side.
Why is it so dark in here?
I know,
Good question.
the purple light is kind of strange. It's because those are grow lights. Their wavelength mimics the sun and gives the plants the specific red and blue light they need. It's a way of tricking them into thinking they're outdoors.
Hydroponics.
Not that plants can think.
Hey, you'd be surprised. She smiled like she thought I was maybe a little bit funny, which lifted my spirits even higher. I followed her all the way into the room. It wasn't something I acknowledged often, but this was my favorite place. Caring for the plants and the fish, watching them grow and change and live, giving me a feeling of connection I didn't quite get from the outdoor garden or the hens. I didn't even feel a connection like that with other humans, no matter how many forums I joined, or chats I took part in, or emails I sent or received.
This is amazing.
Told ya.
I know, but I wasn't expecting so many plants. You have so much food.
I felt a twinge of guilt for how upset I'd been over the potatoes she'd burned. She walked down the rows of potted vegetables and fish tanks, murmuring hello to the fish, examining the water feeding system and the growing lights. I imagined it all through her eyes, the eyes of someone seeing something like this for the first time. It must have seemed like a mad scientist's lair or something. She paused, peering more closely at one of the fish tanks.
Why are there plants growing out of the tank water?
Technically, they're not. They have their own water. It's just been cycled through the fish tank as well. That's how they get nutrients.
I pointed out the tubes that cycled the water.
It's like the circle of life, kind of. I feed the fish and they produce waste, which contains ammonium. That gets converted to nitrites and then into nitrates, which the plants can use to grow. These tubes carry the tank water up through a filter. The filter traps all the bits of waste and gunk that won't help the plants and lets the now nutrient-rich water run through and into the plant pots. It's all a careful balance, everything working in harmony. If I feed the fish and keep the filters clean, then they're able to take care of my plants for me.
Mallory watched the fish swimming lazily back and forth, her face filled with wonder. I grabbed the container of fish food and held it out.
Here, feed them. Just take a bit and sprinkle it in.
I smiled at her encouragingly.
Okay.
She took a pinch of fish food out of the container and gently sprinkled some flakes into the tank. The fish swam excitedly towards the flakes, opening and closing their mouths. Mallory smiled and gave them some more.
They're really hungry.
Don't give them too much.
Looking at them feels peaceful.
Yeah.
I watched her watching the fish. I imagined showing her how to set up a system like this from scratch. I imagined us doing it together, planting the seeds of her favorite flower or a special fruit she'd never tried, celebrating the first bud and the first harvest. Dude, you are falling for her hard. Mallory startled me by asking very suddenly,
Who taught you all of this?
Mom and Dad. She was too close. I took a step back and bumped into some shelving behind me. I could feel my face warming up.
Well, my parents used to take
See?
care of their plants sort of like this when I was young. And then I taught myself a bunch more by reading or by trial and error.
She shook her head a little, her gaze fixed somewhere far away.
My family had nothing like this.
Oh, she looks so sad.
There was one grocery store in our neighborhood. We'd have to wait in line for ages, and then the shelves would be practically empty. We had to scrounge and make do with food that was either spoiled or just plain not enough.
Damn.
All these systems you use. If we could have had something like this, then maybe...
My stomach felt tight. This was it. She was opening up. She was finally going to tell me where she'd come from, what kind of life she had, maybe even what she'd been doing out in the rain that night. I didn't feel ready. Why was my heart beating so fast? She looked so somber as her mouth came open, hesitant. And then she said,
I love that you wanted to show me all this stuff. But, what do you do for fun around here?
That's a very good question. She nudged me and gave me a cheeky little smile. Okay, so much for that idea. That she'll open up in her own time. Just don't force it. I forced my own smile, averting my gaze.
Yeah, I know. All work and no play. Yada yada. How about this? Let's go make some tea, get something to eat, and I'll show you my video games.
Video games! She nodded, suddenly grinning just as bright as she had been that morning, as if the day had brought her no sadness at all. She said goodbye to all the fish and went back out into the brightly lit hall. I followed and closed up the room behind us. We ended up spending most of the afternoon playing games on my tablet and snacking. When I showed Mallory my favorite retro game, the idle clicker with just the right balance of dopamine-inducing rewards, she told me she'd played it before, with her sister, when they were children. She was so excited about this. Once again, her enthusiasm was infectious.
I used to hold the record for fastest speedrun of this game, you know.
You did not. There's no such thing as a speed run of a clicker game, and if there was, that record would be held by a bot.
We teased each other like that, laughing and sharing little meaningless anecdotes. I didn't notice her shifting closer to me, getting more comfortable. We were too comfortable. A comfortable silence took over. Then Mallory leaned against me. Aww. Too nervous to move, I looked down. Her eyes were closed. She was falling asleep. For some reason, I let her stay there on my shoulder. I studied her. The ornate brooch she wore in her sweater dress, the cute pin she wore in her silky hair, her creamy skin and narrow shoulders, the plunging white lace bra. My throat tightened up. This was not okay. Slowly, with deliberate care, I slid away from her. I used the throw cushion to lower her onto the couch, trying my best not to wake her. I placed a blanket over her. She continued to breathe deeply, in and out, unmoving. According to my clock, it was just past 7. I was surprised Mallory had fallen so deeply asleep already. She looked like she'd been there for the rest of the night. Maybe I shouldn't have let her help with so many chores, I thought. But then, I was getting pretty sleepy too. I crept into the kitchen and, as quietly as I could, made my nightly cup of herbal tea. We'd snacked all afternoon, so I wasn't hungry, but that cup of tea before bed was an absolute must. Carefully, I carried my mug upstairs, setting it so as not to disturb Mallory. It wasn't long before I was dozing off, tea only half gone. My body had been warmed by the fire, which made it all too easy to drift off to sleep. That night, I dreamt of the chicken coop being empty. There were only traces left behind of hens, and their feathers were scattered everywhere on the ground. Coyotes must have speared them away, my dream brain thought. I remember pocketing one of the feathers and walking around the woods in search of them. It was a very strange dream. unlike any other I had before. Chapter 5, Maturation. Okay, I think this is where we're going to leave it off because this is just a special episode, but these episodes will be coming out every Monday from here on out. So no extra episodes unless I feel the need for one. But we'll see. I felt the need for one, and I didn't. Honestly, peek behind the curtain. I had an idea beforehand for a video, but I totally forgot what it was. So I was trying to think. I hadn't, like I said, I had an idea for a video. I was going to film it the Saturday before I do release all my videos, but I totally forgot what it was. So I wasn't able to do that. And then I started watching somebody's Twitch stream and then totally said screw it. But anyway, how are you enjoying Cabin Fever so far? I think it's going to be a few more episodes before I give my determination of what I think of this game, but I'm liking it so far. I like the characters. They seem pretty awesome. So let me know what you think in the comment section down below. I'd really love to read your thoughts on this. While you're down there, don't forget to give this video a big thumbs up. I'd really appreciate that. In the description, you're going to see all the ways you can help support this channel. You can follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, and Reddit. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, and Reddit. There we go. I almost forgot TikTok. You can get your Irish Bandit merchandise from my Irish Bandit shop on redbubble.com. You can pick up your copy of my 5-star rated novel, Shade Falling, on Amazon. You can get that through either Kindle e-reader or on paperback. And you can buy me a coffee, where right now I have a goal set up where I want to get some Elgato gear for my PC just to make my game streams look better, and the videos where I'm sitting down doing stuff, like Tuesday's video when I'm looking at old videos. You can go check that out. I just want to make these look better, so you can help out in the link down below. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe. If you've already subscribed, tap the bell and you'll be notified whenever a brand new video goes live. Tomorrow's Friday. That means more Friday Fantasy, which means more Final Fantasy VII Remake. We're with Aerith, and oh man, I can't wait to get to that part of the game. Watch it on Ryder's stream, and I absolutely loved it. So we're going to get into that on Friday, tomorrow, and then Monday it is more Cabin Fever. So be sure to join me for that. Have a great weekend. I'll talk to you again very, very soon.